Bond. James Bond.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Did we just become best friends?
Yup! Sublime!
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Tear me apart, Lisa!
But mostly I hate the way I don't hate you. Not even close. Not even a little bit. Not even at all.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of You Haven't Seen That, a movie discussion podcast where we introduce our friend Ben to movies he should have seen a long time ago. I'm your host, Amanda.
I'm Geoff.
And I'm Ben.
And today we have a guest joining us.
Woo!
Say hi, Patrick.
Hi, Amanda.
Patrick is Geoff's brother, and he is visiting us this weekend and decided to watch along. So without further ado, today we are discussing It. I believe we are kicking off our spooky season with this one. And stick around until the end because we'll be talking about the top 4 worst places to encounter a killer clown.
Something we've thought about a lot.
Yeah, ever since watching this movie, yeah.
Incredible. The year 2017. The month September. The number 1 song in the US at this time, Despacito by Luis Fonsi and Daddy Yankee. This was its 16th straight week being number 1 in the Billboard Hot 100.
I think we all know that one. I think we're a little familiar.
A little bit.
And it's in the movie. Just kidding.
Incredibly timed and well edited. In world news, Hurricane Irma makes landfall in the United States this week. I vaguely remember the name when I was trying to look up news around this time, and that was like the big thing in the United States. And I was like, oh, Hurricane Irma. And I vaguely remembered it. But yeah, I remember that was a pretty notable hurricane there in the southeast. And usually this is tennis time, but this was the start. This weekend marked the start of the NFL season that broke the Buffalo Bills playoff drought. They beat the Jets that week 1.
The legend of Sean McDermott.
Woo! And Tyrod Taylor. The movie we're talking about tonight, again, as Amanda said, It. In a small town in Maine, 7 children, known as the Losers Club, come face to face with life problems, bullies, and a monster that takes the shape of a clown called Pennywise. Based on the Stephen King novel of the same name, and directed by Andy Muschietti, this movie stars Bill Skarsgård, Jaden Martell, Sophia Lillis, and Finn Wolfhard. This movie's budget was around $40 million, 40, and it grossed $704 million at the global box office, around $330 in the US alone. This debuted naturally at number 1 at the box office and was number 1 for 2 weeks. And it is currently the highest grossing horror movie of all time at the box office. When it passed that mark, it passed The Sixth Sense. It's obviously not adjusted for inflation or anything like that. If we adjust it for inflation, number 1 would be The Exorcist. But on straight dollars and cents, this was number 1.
I don't know that I would have guessed that.
Impressive. Yeah, there's a bunch of random factoids I read about it in terms of that's how it did in its opening weekend at the box office. I have some stats. Let me see if I can dig them up while I'm kind of typing here. But in terms of its critical reception, this movie received an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 69 on Metacritic. A lot of the reviews and criticisms of the movie oftentimes praised the direction as well as Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise the Clown. And in terms of its accolades, it was not nominated for any Academy Awards. Probably would have made sense for something in like makeup or whatever. But it received 4 nominations at our favorite award ceremony, the MTV Movie and TV Awards, including Best Movie, which it lost. It won Best On-Screen Team for The Losers Club. It lost Best Movie to Black Panther. It lost Best Villain, also to Black Panther. And it lost Most Frightened Performance. Sophia Lillis, a.k.a. Bev, was nominated for this award. And it was given to Noah Schnapp, a.k.a. Will Byers from Stranger Things.
Great. Thank you. All All right, Ben, why don't you give us your history with the movie It?
Sure. So, I'm not super familiar with Stephen King stuff in general. I have seen Misery, and I think that's the only movie until this one that I had seen.
You've seen one more for the podcast,
What is that?
The Shining.
Oh yeah, duh. Wait, that was him? Oh yeah, it was. Um, sorry, duh.
You're good. Sorry to cut you off.
Yep, no, you're right. And then I did watch Under the Dome, which was this TV show from him, or from one of his books. I do remember when this movie came out, and I remember it being a big sensation, but I did not have any real interest in seeing it at the time, and I kind of just knew it was about a clown in the sewers with a red balloon. That's about all I knew. I didn't know much more about it other than that. Not that there is too much more to say than what I just said. But yeah, so that's my history and yeah.
Great. Geoff, what's your history?
When it came out, it fascinated me. I'm going to try to be really careful about the amount of times I use the word "it" in this.
It's very noticeable in this particular podcast when we say the word "it."
Big time. So when it came out, it was a movie that intrigued me. It was in that phase of mine where I wasn't as into going to the movies to see horror, and I was afraid of getting too jumpy, too scared, very self-conscious about that sort of thing. And I knew that this movie was going to be one that would cause me to do that a lot. So I was intrigued at the concept, but didn't actively seek it out. And it was also a movie that I wanted to see in the later years and whatever, but I've never really had the time or motivation to do it. Same thing with the sequel, which I forgot to mention at the beginning. There is a sequel that came out 2 years later, and there will be a TV show on Max coming out in just a few weeks after this episode airs. And the trailer for Chapter 2 got me really interested in this movie as well. So not something I have a strong history with, and a movie I was excited that we could check out this week.
Cool. What about you, Patrick? Any history with the movie It?
No, not really. I know we were talking about this beforehand. Horror movies really aren't my thing. I generally tend to avoid them. However, I was always caught my eye because kind of like the ripple effects, not just in like social media, but like just everyday life. Everybody actually like having Pennywise the clown like as like set up at Halloween. Like when you go trick or treating, you see it everywhere. Kids also dressed up as Pennywise and the iconic red balloon. No, when you said we were gonna watch this movie this weekend when I was coming, I was like, that'll be good. I've always heard about it, and I never came across my mind as to wanting to actually see the movie. So let's give it a try. Let's see what it's all about.
One, we're happy we got you out of your comfort zone. Two, we're really sorry we roped you into watching a horror movie. Apologies.
No problem. No worries. It's that time of year. I forgot
you mentioning that made me, and the Halloween thing made me remember that also a lot of my fourth graders have seen this movie over the years, which is very inappropriate, but not surprising. Listen, children watch a lot of stuff, Amanda, that they shouldn't watch. And so they brought up Pennywise frequently.
Oh, gosh.
Right. It's a little crazy.
Lovely.
Not so much recently, but definitely in the year or two after it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Huh. All right. Bad parenting, I think. So similarly to everyone here, I had not seen it. I am not a horror movie girly. So this is one of, I don't know, probably I could count on one-ish hands how many horror movies I've seen over the years. Also, Misery is one of them, Ben. So we share that. I was traumatized by that movie. Thanks, Stephen King. Yeah, I just exactly as Ben said, all of the things that he knew about this movie and about Pennywise was pretty much the extent of my knowledge. I don't think that this one even really interested me that much. Sometimes there are horror movies where the plot seems super interesting. And I'm like, Geoff, you got to tell me what ends up happening in this movie because I really want to see it, but I know I can't. So yeah, just pretty much going in mostly blind. Geoff, what is your score?
I'm gonna give it a I'll give it a 3.5. I think that, again, the idea was really cool. I think Pennywise the Clown is an incredible villain, and I think the chemistry between the Losers Club was cute in a kidsy way, but this movie's way too dark and way too long. That's all I gotta say about that.
Yeah, there was a point where we were just like, we paused the movie and we're like, how much time is left on this? And it was like 59 minutes. And we're like, oh my gosh, more of this?
Yeah. Anytime I fire up a movie for the podcast and it starts with a 2 in its runtime, I'm like,
just wait until we watch the sequel for the podcast. That's like 3 hours long.
Yeah, I think it's at 2 hours 59.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah, that's insane. Patrick, I don't know if Geoff prepped you for this, but did you prep him?
I did not.
A rating? Okay.
No, we have the
spreadsheet. We're going to ask
spreadsheet.
you to do a rating. It's between 0 and 5, and you can use
5 being Mrs. Doubtfire, 1 being Cats. Just kidding.
0 being Twilight.
No, I think that's a fair grade of a 3.5. I think what Geoff said is pretty accurate. The plot is I actually did like the plot a lot. The fact like it was every 27 years something happened, and it was just this iteration. Like these kids were just happened to be in the interval, I guess. So the plot line to me was super interesting. It's just like you said, too dark and too long.
Yeah.
Great. What about you, Ben?
I really liked Pennywise. I didn't like anything else that much. So I was kind of disappointed by this, to be honest. I'm going to give it a 2.5.
Okay. You're so harsh, Ben.
I just gave The Apartment a grade score a week ago.
Whatever. It doesn't count. Yeah, I agree. I think this movie was too long overall, but I surprisingly did really enjoy it. I think it's one of those horror movies that, even not being a horror movie person, there was so much plot that was happening. It wasn't just like horror all the time, which was like super helpful. And I thought the plot was really interesting. So I'm going to give this a 3.25.
Nice.
Which puts it somewhere in our ratings.
Yeah, sure does put it somewhere.
Probably like middle of the pack.
It's maybe. Middle of the pack.
Yeah.
It's middle of the pack, tied with The Graduate, Mission Impossible, and Weekend at Bernie's.
Okay.
That feels right.
That does feel right.
Yeah, it's in that ballpark.
Yeah.
Since you brought it up, some of you in your first things, I feel like this is where I would like to jump in, which is, how do you like your horror? Because for me, like, I'm thinking about like this movie compared to something like Misery, and compared to something like Weapons, which I both like both of those movies significantly more. And I think for me, it has to be like one of two things. It either has to be like something that feels realistic to scare me enough. So like that's why Misery is terrifying, for me, much more terrifying than a killer clown in a sewer. Or in the case of Weapons, which is a little less realistic, but you spend the whole movie being like, what is going on? And I feel like this movie to me felt like a lot of like a kid walks into peril. Pennywise shows up, tries to get the kid. Then we go to another kid in peril. Like it just felt like a lot of the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, like Weapons and Misery, I would not say fall into like a stereotypical horror.
Yeah, they're more
genre.
suspense. They're more suspense.
Yeah, definitely like suspense thriller for sure, which is also the other tricky thing about horror as someone who doesn't like it, because if I go on Letterboxd and see that a movie is, marked as horror, I'm like, okay, well, what kind of horror is this? Because some of it's kind of okay.
Is it elevated horror? Agree. Is it jump scare horror? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I mentioned early on, I like horror that has a good plot. I don't do well with gore. So I don't want any of that. And this movie didn't really have any, which was great.
No, not a ton.
No, not
I only had to look away twice. The first time, was when he was gonna kill the sheep right at the beginning of the movie with the bolt thing. And the second time was when the bully Henry killed his dad. Which just goes to show I'm more afraid, like you said, Ben, of things that can really happen in real life. Animal violence and like being stabbed in the throat. I'm more afraid of that than I am of like a clown thing because I'm like, that's not real. It's
Right.
not, it's gross and I didn't enjoy watching it, but I was like, I can watch this.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a great like plot for a horror movie because clowns are scary in general.
Yeah.
But like for me, it's just like I'm not worried about seeing a killer clown in a sewer. I would be worried about being abducted and kidnapped by my number one fan.
Which I think is why Pennywise is such an effective villain in the sense that he is inhabiting almost the minds of these kids
He's like
and portraying like this super realistic situation.
Yeah.
Exactly. So maybe that's why, like in the movie itself, like in this movie world, Pennywise works as a villain. And if I were in that world, I'd be like, nah, screw this, I'm gone, 100%. But I do agree with you that the more realistic feeling horror situations definitely freak me out more. I'm more of like a kind of overall mood horror, less of like the jump scare, more of like the I'm gonna curl up in my seat because I'm very uncomfortable watching this. Like the thinking back to like modern, like newer horror movies when I think of like The Substance that came out last year and the whole third act of The Substance, me in the theater the first time watching that being like in a ball, being like, what is this thing? Sorry for the spoilers, Patrick. I know you definitely have not watched that movie. Or yeah, so that is more my kind of jam with horror movies. I felt like with this, even with the jump scares, I never quite jumped. I could kind of see them coming.
I cringed.
Yeah, I felt like they were telegraphed a lot.
Yeah. Anytime a knife came out is like when I like cringed and it's like I had to look away pretty much.
Yeah, they did a very effective job. Maybe that's why the movie looks so like the one thing I noticed was when we watched it, even with the lights out, even with like blinds drawn, it was hard to see the movie itself. That's why when I said it was dark at the beginning, like it is literally dark. And I'm sure that was done to hide some of the scares, but I was like, I can't see anything. I don't know what's going on. Like, I want to be able to see what is actually about to happen, but maybe I'm just unique in that sense. I don't know.
Yeah. I will say I did have a little trouble going to sleep the night that we watched it. So that was
Which
apparently
will
I
lead to
haven't.
our top four, I'm sure.
Oh, perfect.
Not that we're doing it yet, but
Yeah, apparently I haven't grown out of that.
Yeah.
I will say I was very afraid of clowns as a child.
Oh, yeah?
My mom famously says I always said I was afraid of downs and underdorms. Downs and thunderstorms, in case you couldn't translate that.
That's funny.
But apparently that's how 4-year-old Ben pronounced it.
I've never been afraid of clowns.
I'm not anymore, but I'm not like
Yeah.
a fan of them. Like I think they're weird.
That's more the thing is it's weird. And when they're so expressive, it purposely makes you uncomfortable and awkward. And it's like, I don't want to deal with that. No, I don't like this.
I mean, I will say like the stuff with Pennywise and Bill Skarsgård was definitely the best part of the movie for me.
Absolutely.
And I get why you don't want to overuse it. Like I understand the like narrative reasons for that, but I was not that interested when it wasn't a Pennywise moment.
Yeah, the first in the beginning when we get that long scene of him talking to Georgie when he's
That was
in
my
the
favorite
sewer.
scene in the movie.
Yeah, like I was
Oh,
like
yeah.
I was really interested in like what was happening because usually right off the bat you don't get these villains, like talking and whatever. So I was really interested in that, and then I was disappointed that he didn't really engage with the other kids in the same kind of way for the most
Yes.
part. He did a little bit at the end.
I almost feel like I wish like he hadn't gone on the attack that very first time because I feel like him just talking to the kid in the sewer was so unsettling. And then once he kind of turned into the monster there, then I feel like you can't like put that genie back in the bottle kind of thing. Like we've
Yeah.
already seen what he could do and he got the kid, dragged the kid into the sewer 10 minutes into the movie, It's
Yeah.
hard to top that narratively.
Well, we didn't quite get the extent of what he could do.
No,
his
I guess
full
that's true, but
shape-shifting abilities.
yeah.
I will say this movie got me very intrigued in the history and the lore of this town, of Pennywise, of everything, because I feel
Yeah.
like they opened a lot of questions and they didn't answer a lot of them, but especially about Pennywise. I was very confused, especially at the end, and I don't know if we want to talk about the end already, but like I was confused. I
Yeah.
was very confused by the end with how he was able to be defeated.
Hmm.
Defeated, quote unquote.
I think, I mean, my guess is just, hey, he is the manifestation of your fear, and he feeds off of your fear. And when
Yeah.
he has nothing to feed off of, and people aren't afraid of him, hence why he probably goes after children. He's like, oh, I gotta scurry away, and then go into hibernation for 27 years. I don't know. Maybe that's
Yeah. I don't know. It just seemed weird that like a bunch of kids could actually gang up on him and just like hit him
Yeah.
with a bunch of stuff. And he's like, okay,
my
bye.
my theory with that is because Pennywise succeeds when he targets kids one on one and really calls out their fears. And it's like, okay, I know you're afraid of fires and burned people and whatever, and you have traumatic nightmares of the night your parents died, Mike. So I'm going to show that to you and then be like, whoa, come here, and wipe feet off you. Or Stan, I know you're afraid of this portrait, so I'm going to shapeshift my face to be this creepy looking lady. And that's why he can target these people one on one. Like, Stan is afraid of that face looking thing, but like Bill isn't, Bev isn't, Ben isn't, Richie isn't. So Pennywise doesn't have the same effect on them. So having multiple people with multiple different fears coming at Pennywise at the same time means that Pennywise is less effective and therefore can't do what he needs to do and be as strong as he possibly can be. So that's why I think they were able to defeat him ultimately.
Well, in
just seems
general,
like a
it's like
flaw.
I would say, like if you run into a situation as as a group or a team, you're less fearful of the outcome versus just going into it individually.
That's true. I'm not going to die. My friend is, so I'm good.
Just can't
It
be the
seems like
last one running.
Yeah,
seems
right.
like a flaw in Pennywise's part. I don't know, especially someone who can shapeshift. But I don't think he really used his shapeshifting abilities as
For
to
his abilities, though, the Pennywise has a lot of limitations as far as a supernatural villain.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, right.
He needs
Yeah.
to know exactly what you're afraid of, and once he finds it and identifies that fear, then he can target it. He doesn't know much else other than that. Plus, he can do like the creepy, like, whoa, he like shakes his head or whatever when he comes charging at you. That's always freaky when those kind of things happen. Like, as he was like running through the water and his face starts shaking. I was like, oh, that would be scary a little bit.
Do you ever think, going back to that first scene in the sewer, like that kid in that scene, first of all, did a very nice job as a
Very.
young kid.
Mhm.
But he's probably what, 7, 8 years old.
Mhm.
Like, do you think about like how do they film that without, giving that kid trauma for a
Oh,
long
yeah.
time?
I actually know this.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I don't know that kid doesn't have trauma, but I have seen reels of Bill Skarsgård when they were filming this movie, and he was very like intentional with the kids when they were filming. He would like explain exactly what they were gonna do, and like you could see he would like he'd be like "Wah," and like do a scare, and then immediately just be like, "Are you guys okay? Are you okay?" Like they would just like break the scene right there so that he could
Okay.
immediately like talk with them, and he was like giving them high fives and hugs all the time. So I think that they just built a really good relationship on the set.
Right.
That's
And
good.
and I think too, well, a couple of things too. One, bouncing off of that, there was definitely one scene like before, I think it was the final fight scene. Bill Skarsgård went to all of the kids. They like did a circle and like high five, like let's go everybody, time to kill me, let's go, high fives, everybody. I feel like I remember that very
Oh
vividly
yeah.
from it. And then the second thing is that a lot of the kid actors in this movie have gone on to do a lot of other acting gigs. Sophia Lillis, we just saw her recently in the Dungeons and Dragons movie, but I know she's done a lot of other projects across film and TV both. We all know where Finn Wolfhard and everything he's doing. He's now directing movies and stuff like that on his own, and he's, way past age to be doing anything in Stranger Things, but here we are. Jack Dylan Glazer, who's the kid in the cast, I forget his name, I feel so bad, with the Munchausen's thing.
Eddie?
Is that his name?
Ed.
Eddie?
Yeah,
Thank
Eddie.
you.
In the
Thank
in the
you.
movie, yeah.
Yes, Eddie, yes. Thank you. He was a voice in Luca, and I know he was just in the movie Friendship, and I know he's done some he plays the brother in Shazam, like the younger brother in Shazam. Jaden Martell was in the first Knives Out movie as an alt-right kid trolling people online, plus doing a whole bunch of other things. So yeah, I think that there's a level of experience with these child actors. It's not like you just have kids and you're just throwing them to the wolves. Like, these kids not only have gone on to do amazing things, but they had experience going into this movie, or were going to have significant experience. So it's like they had some pros and people who it's like, hey, you got this. You can figure this out.
Yeah.
There were times like, because like I feel like for the first half of the movie, it was kind of the stuff with Pennywise, or it was like the kids getting bullied. It makes you think like after you've kind of dealt with a killer clown, like good old fashioned bullying probably wouldn't phase you as much. But then they like cut his stomach, and I was like, "Whoa, this got really intense."
That's what that. Yeah,
I was gonna say, this is not old-fashioned bullying.
No. That's what I thought at first. That's what I'm saying. I thought that at first, and then they cut his stomach, and I was like, "Oh, maybe not so much."
Yeah.
The number of times I wrote in my notes, like, WTF, like something is wrong, like seriously wrong with this dude. I'm like, he is crazy.
Insane.
Yeah, there was the scene too where he was cleaning his dad's gun, and then like his next target was the cat, and he literally like told his buddy, go get the cat, and he just like hold it there.
And he was gonna like smash Mike's face in with a rock, like had they not started the infamous rock war, which was hilarious.
Yes.
But yeah, and then I was honestly disappointed with what happened with Henry, because considering the fact that he literally just like found them at the house and then he died, I was like, why did he even have to be in this movie at all?
It was a pretty prominent spot for not a lot of payoff, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it was supposed to showcase that like Pennywise kind of got in his head and told him, essentially convinced him to kill his dad. But I just don't think we really needed it for how much I was traumatized by just that bully.
Yeah, I was very confused at the scene when they went back into the house, and then he was like in his car along the side of the road just watching these kids go in. I'm like, why does that have to be in it? Like, what context does that really have?
Unless it's like Pennywise, like Amanda said, kind of got into his head and almost like he became like a new manifestation of Pennywise, maybe. But also, we really needed to emphasize in this movie that these kids are bullied and that they're truly quote-unquote losers. Because remember, everybody, they call themselves the Losers Club. They need to get bullied and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, well, it kind of links back to like the parents too, right? Because all the parents in this movie suck
big time.
They always do in movies like this.
It was like the parents stink, and no one knows what electricity is, because it's like every hallway is so dark, every room is so dark.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was the 80s. Parents weren't really involved.
True. Touche. Yeah, really bad parents. You have I wrote Gypsy Rose Blanchard after we got the whole reveal about the pills being placebos. You have Bev's dad, who's straight up creep.
Okay.
The doctor who's a creep. What's that, sweetie?
But wait, were his pills actually placebos? Because his mom, yeah, gazebos. His mom, like, doesn't admit or deny that they're placebos, but her reaction makes you think that they are. But then at the very end of the movie, when they're doing their blood oath, his watch beeps, which would indicate that it's time for his pills.
Unless he
I don't know. Like,
right.
were they placebos? Is he on different medication now? Like, I don't know.
This is true. And I mean, plus at that point too, they're about to, all give themselves infections, sharing a piece of glass after they've complained about the AIDS crisis earlier.
I was gonna say, I love that line where like he's bleeding all over and there's an AIDS epidemic happening.
And then at the end, he's doing a blood oath. What character growth?
I know, right?
Things get put in perspective when you almost get killed by a clown.
I know. One thing I was
Maybe it's an allegory for AIDS.
Right. Oh, that's going one level deeper. That's just going deeper into the plot. Me at the surface being like, oh, this is a nice exploration of growing out of your fears as children. Meanwhile, there's a whole other layer to the movie. Like, oh yeah, this is just the AIDS epidemic.
You guys want to know what I read about the book version of it?
Oh, what did you read about it?
Apparently, I think it's after they kill Pennywise, what's her name? Beverly has relations with every single one of them in order
Wow.
to quote unquote unify the group. And
Yikes.
apparently, there's an ethereal space turtle that they talk to. I think. I don't know if the kids talk to it, if Pennywise talks to it, if it just talks to the readers, but there is a space turtle in the book.
Damn.
I feel pretty good about the choices they made to
Yep.
cut for the movie.
Yep.
Makes me intrigued to read the book.
I know.
Like I really need to know how this fits into the plot.
Whenever I've walked by the book at like the Barnes and Noble, I always just see it. It's like it's massive. It's always this massive book. I'm just like, oh, this looks like a lot to get through. Maybe that's why the chapter one movie is 2 hours and 10 minutes, and chapter two.
I was gonna say,
is
is the book both of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Probably, yeah.
Yep. And I remember too when this movie came out, it was unknown that there was going to be a part two. So I remember reading that after the movie ends and they go to the end credits and it goes to It Chapter 1.
I was gonna say, yeah.
I remember reading about
That was like
how
a
people's
surprise.
reactions were crazed and being like, "Oh my gosh,
okay.
this is crazy!" So
Interesting.
especially with the hit that this was, too.
Yeah. Was the second one as big of a hit?
The second one was not as big of a hit. I think its overall gross was, it's not bad. It was like $480 million, I believe.
It's a pretty big drop, though.
On an 80, twice the budget, roughly half the return. I know it opened number one, grossed 211 in the United States. Week of its release, it broke Fandango's record for most advanced tickets sold by a horror film. It has a 62% on Rotten Tomatoes, so a noticeable drop off in that regards. Close on the Metacritic score, 58 versus the 69 of part one. So not as well loved.
So Ben, I'm curious, do you know what is the TV show supposed to cover besides like
so
is it
it's a prequel, so it's set 27 years before.
Okay.
So it's set in 1962. You know, because Pennywise only appears every 27 years. And I believe chapter 2 is 27 years later, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
So the prequel is set 27 years earlier.
Got it.
And I have read that if it is a success and there's future seasons, they're going to go 27 years back from that, and then 27. So like season 2 will be 1935,
Or like the
season 3
original
will be
1908.
1908.
Yep.
Okay, so they'll eventually get to the big explosion with all those kids dying if they're able
Yeah.
to make that many seasons.
Yeah. I guess it's planned as a 3-season show.
Got it.
Okay.
So that everybody listening, watch it. Welcome to Derry on HBO
Yeah.
Max. Starting
I
soon.
actually
On
might
HBO
watch
proper.
it.
Streaming
HBO
on
proper.
HBO Max.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, I actually might watch it just because I'm so interested in like the history of Derry and I just want to know more about the
Yeah.
lore.
The
I want
trailer,
more.
which I watched the trailer for the show before this movie, and it does look, you know, it looks like a similar vibe, but a lot more of adults in this. I mean, there are some kids too, but more older teenagers, it seems like. But it's a creepy trailer.
Yeah. Maybe that was before Pennywise learned he needed to just stick with kids.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned this. They use well, this is the second week in a row we're bringing up the Music Man. But they use "You Got Trouble" from the Music Man in a very creepy way in the trailer.
Ooh. All right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Color me intrigued.
Yeah.
But that show has been in development for forever. Like they started filming pre writer strike.
Oh, okay.
And it feels like it's been just like, you know, there's a lot of thought it would come out like a year ago at Halloween time, and now it's finally coming out. By the time this podcast drops, there might be reviews of it. I don't know, but as of the recording, there's no sense of how people feel about it yet.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Here's hoping it's good. I always want stuff to be good.
I do feel like Derry, like there's always something. I know Stephen King was very good at this in general, like those kind of idyllic towns that are not so idyllic, and I think something about the kind of New England feel of it and the small town look. Like I feel like it's something that always works well in a horror setting.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you look at I remember like as soon as I saw like a shot of the town in this movie, I was like, oh, that looks like the town I saw in the trailer for the show.
New England be haunted, y'all.
New England be haunted.
I just want to say, well, okay. Who was everybody's favorite kid?
I know who was my least favorite, but
Not necessarily acting wise, more character wise.
Character wise.
Yeah.
I liked, see, I never, you know me, I can never do character names. The one who with the New Kids on the Block.
Oh, Ben.
Oh, Ben.
Yeah. Oh, Ben. Yeah.
Ben.
Why did I remember that name?
You can't remember his name.
You think I would remember that one? I thought that moment where it revealed the New Kids on the Block on the back of the door was really like, for a movie that didn't have a lot of funny moments, that was a really funny moment.
Mm-hmm. That was cute. What about you guys?
I'm gonna have to go with Mike. Not because it's just like he's the very quiet, shy kid. He's homeschooled, and then he kind of joins the fray. I just like the character because he's quiet, but then he's also just like so willing and able to help out. Yeah, and they were so welcoming of him into the Losers Club.
Losers always are.
Yes.
I think for me, my favorite was probably, it's a toss up between Bev and Ben. Ben, just because he is so, he is himself and he's not afraid to show it. Like, oh, I'm a history geek, or oh, I'm a New Kids on the Block fan. Like, I love that. And Bev kind of being clearly the coolest of the Losers Club. Very clearly the coolest.
The girl is always the coolest.
Always, without fail. And the most willing to help out in certain instances. And I think her character is, outside of Bill, Bev's character is developed the most as well in the movie. So I guess for the sake of diversifying it out, I'll go with Bev.
Gotcha. Yeah, Beverly is a badass. I did love her. She was really, really great. Probably my favorite actor of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And very close. Probably also my favorite character. But I did really love Richie. Just everything he said made me laugh. I feel like every single line he had was funny. I also saw a review on Letterboxd where it was like 1990 version of It. Pennywise, boo, kids. 2017 version of It. Pennywise, boo, kids. F you. and after watching it, that scene where, Richie's like, you punched me in the face, you did this, you whatever, and now I have to kill this clown. Beating him with the baseball bat. I'm like, yeah, no, that tracks.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we can all agree Stan sucks.
Stan sucks.
Definitely.
Stan was the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Poor guy also barely got any character development, but
Yeah.
I couldn't even remember his name for most of the movie, but then he was just like,
when he was getting his face eaten, that's when it was like, oh, that kid's name's Stan.
I felt a little bad for him at that part. I'm like, dude, you suck so bad. And he really didn't want to go. And then of course he's the one who ends up getting his face attacked. But he also wandered off. All the kids just kept wandering off when they were in that house. And I was like, what are you doing?
Horror movie 101, people. Horror movie 101. This is 1989. There have been plenty of notable horror movies that have come out at this point. You all seem like the kids who have definitely seen this at home or have snuck into a movie theater at some point to watch these kind of things. You know how these rules are. Come on.
Yep. I also want to say the shot of Pennywise dancing in the
in
the well
was
really cool. I don't know how the heck they filmed that effect.
They kept the camera perspective just on his face, and everything else was just moving around. So that was pretty cool.
I was like, yeah, that just looked super cool. And having that actual circus background and everything. I was like, ooh, that's sick.
I did note at one point, this is very much like a me note, but I think it was when they were in the house the first time and Richie goes into the room with all of the clowns and he has to go to the coffin and then Pennywise like leaps up like out of nowhere. One of my notes at that point was, let me see if I can find it. Pennywise would have tested well at the combine with that vertical jump. Scouts would have loved him.
Pennywise really like to be such a made up figure. Like Bill Skarsgård gave a lot of personality to that character.
Big time.
Mhm.
For the limitations that they might provide otherwise. And Tim Curry played Pennywise in the miniseries.
Yep.
But yeah, that was for me, like I was just always looking forward to when he was back on screen.
Definitely.
Yeah. I really want to know why his name is Pennywise. We don't actually hear anybody call him that in this movie.
No.
There was a shot where you could see Pennywise. It was like written on something when they were in
like
the
a
well.
tent in the well, yeah.
Yeah.
Like in his little hidey hole of floating kids.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like, what? How did you get your name? Like, what's the deal with that?
I think you touched on this earlier, Amanda, about like trying to understand like the origins of Pennywise, I guess, because like in the beginning when they find out about the explosion in 1908, and then you can see the pictures of Pennywise, but it's like it makes you wonder like how far back does this really go?
Mm-hmm.
And like, does he control the dead people? Like, I mean, you have to assume that all these like random bodies that we're seeing are the people that died in that explosion, I guess. But
yeah.
I'm like, what exactly is going on here?
According to Google AI, which, can't
very reliable source.
They don't lie. The name comes from a combination of the English idiom penny wise and pound foolish, which describes someone thrifty with small sums but wasteful with large amounts. The idea of a pennywise performing clown that the ancient being adopted to lure and terrify children.
Okay.
To exploit children's love for clowns while simultaneously leveraging their fear of them.
Do children love clowns?
I mean, I feel like okay. I feel like the clown being creepy is a more modern thing because like clowns were like circus and like associated with children for a long time. And I feel like maybe it did a lot of work towards this, but I feel like the creepy clown persona is a newer thing. Newer, relatively speaking, like in the last half century or so.
I guess.
Like you think back to the 50s, I don't think people thought clowns were creepy.
They should have, though. Do you ever see those old pictures of clowns?
Oh yeah, no,
they look terrifying.
Yeah, maybe it's a combination of like the Joker and because like you used to think like clowns, they were used in like they were like they were comedic more than anything.
Yeah, what's his face is kind of a clown. Well, I guess not really. Never mind. Take it back. Jigsaw.
My son loves I Love Lucy, and she's got the red hair, and she was like considered like clown features. So he has a book where there's all these clowns in a car, and every time he sees the clown, he points to it and says Lucy.
Aw,
it was just a straight up clown, not Lucy.
Poor Lucy.
Wait till the episode. He gets to watch the I Love Lucy episode with the guy with the Martha slowly I turn step by step.
Oh yeah,
like a kind of a clownish actual clown. Be like, see, this is what someone.
And that episode of I Love Lucy where she kills kids in the sewer.
That one got banned from
spoiler
TV.
alert.
It doesn't get come up on Paramount Plus very often.
Goodness.
Incredible.
I will say, I thought Pennywise before watching this movie was confined to the sewers. I was very surprised to learn that was not the case.
Yes, I thought that too.
Yeah, I thought that was just like his domain and he could only kill people if he lured them.
But it does seem like, okay, I feel like it wasn't always consistent, like maybe because of the shape shifting. Like sometimes like closing a door is enough to stop Pennywise. And other times I feel like Pennywise can appear in an open field.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. I got no answers.
Yeah, I don't know. I almost weirdly think because of Pennywise being this could essentially be an immortal being who knows he's going to get his in time. He almost enjoys the hunt of it all. Like he never, when he sees Bill in the basement and Georgie starts going, "You'll float too, you'll float too," which that was creepy. Loved that scene. And then Pennywise appears out of the water, and then he starts shaking and like starts chasing after Bill. "Ah!" And then Bill runs up the stairs and closes the door. Pennywise's head like on the ground, and he's got like this big smile, and his eyes almost like go back, almost like he's like, kind of really excited about this, and like he almost enjoys the hunt of it all, which is another layer of like understanding the fears of these kids and like almost building on it to create like this perfect story, almost like a showman, like a clown would in having a show. That's kind of the way I look at it too, where he knows he's gonna get his, and he's like, I just need, I want to really get these kids like every single time.
But then there's other kids too, like Georgie, that he just is like,
I'm gonna
eat your arm off and then eat you right away.
Yeah, and then there's that, which I'm just like, okay, well, I don't know. Unless he's been stalking Bill for over a year and like, this is my kid, or something. I don't know. That's just creepy. I know, but
yeah, I think it's an interesting how it's like why did Pennywise select those kids? You know, it was one scene that really sticks out to me is the scene where Beverly's in the bathroom and then like all the blood comes up from the sink, and then her dad comes in, and then he's just like, she's like, "You don't see all this?" He's like, "No, what are you talking about?"
Right.
It makes you wonder. It's like, okay, what's going on around what Pennywise is doing? Can only be seen by a subset of kids that he chooses, and everybody else is almost immune to it all.
It's almost like Pennywise is going after the most vulnerable. He knows
feared
kids. The ones most susceptible to his things. Like with Beverly, for example, she's got a really bad home life with a sexual abuser of a father, constantly getting creeped on, constantly being bullied at school, and now is becoming a woman about to have her first period. So it's like all of these things are building up and up. So she is almost like the perfect target for a Pennywise character. And the same thing with Mike, his parents died in a fire. He's having to grow up now really fast in his job. So Pennywise is almost preying, in my opinion, on the most vulnerable possible people. And the perfect example of that is the Losers Club. Because I feel like a lot of those teenagers at school would just be like, "You're kind of weird, clown. Like, bye."
Well, so it's interesting then in the sequel that apparently, even though they're adults, they can still see Pennywise, I'm assuming, and all the stuff that he does. So that is different and interesting, but it also seems like Pennywise is in the second one going to be more focused on revenge rather than just like trying to find kids to, sustain him for 27 more years. He's like, no. I remember you guys. You're going down. I don't care that you're adults. So definitely a different dynamic. Does anyone have any final thoughts or anything?
Last thing, I'm going to ask a question for the group. How is Pennywise getting you? How are you going to get trapped by Pennywise? What things is he about to exploit? I know for me, I'll just go out here and say it. I'll just admit my biggest fear in the world. It would be, so for those who don't know, I'm admitting this publicly on the podcast. This is maybe embarrassing. I have a fear of winged insects, specifically moths and butterflies. They just freak me out to like no end, and have always have ever since I was like 7, 8 years old. One of my most traumatic experiences was going to the Niagara Falls Butterfly Conservatory when I was in like first or second grade. Horrifying experience, just a terrible place. So I just know that it would be the slow buildup of like basically Pennywise simulating a butterfly conservatory around me, and then me like crouching in fear a little bit or just being like freaked out, and then all of a sudden you see Pennywise catching me at my most vulnerable in that moment, and then being like "Rah!" or whatever, and then I'm floating away by everybody. So that's what I think would happen if Pennywise were to get me.
I mean, I feel like I have two answers. One, I think Pennywise could just stay a clown.
He doesn't have to work too hard for you.
And then the other thing, like Geoff said, winged insects, for me it is, I mean, it's, like snakes and stuff like that are always like, I don't want to be too basic,
Right.
normal. But the one things that always freak me out whenever I see them, even though they're relatively harmless, is centipedes. and millipedes.
Yeah, they're
They just really
creepy.
freak me out. So I feel like Pennywise might use that something related to those things because that's more specific to me, I feel like, than like spiders and snakes, which I feel like everybody's a little afraid of.
I like it.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. Patrick, do you have an answer?
I think like yeah, mixture. I mean, could be himself. Before I was actually so if we're on the topic of things we had giant fears of growing up till that point I actually did get stung. Bees were like a huge fear of mine.
Yeah.
So something twisted and diabolical involving bees probably would be something like how Pennywise would get me, like a huge swarm of bees. Like no, thank you. Also too like snakes, like even if it's like an innocent like harmless snake, like I just can't do it. So like anytime where it's like, oh, you want to come and pet a snake, I'm like, no, I don't want to. Snakes freak me out.
Or if, as an adult, maybe this might be more appropriate as an adult. Just a lack of financial security always scares me. So it'd be like Pennywise would like I'd open up a banking app and then all of a sudden
Yeah,
I'd see
penny
my
rolls
bank,
out. Yeah.
just something slowly rolling down to zero and then having a panic attack, being like, Amanda,
Pennywise is in the ATM.
Oh my goodness.
My Navy Federal Credit Union app just starts flashing as Pennywise face and slowly drains to zero.
Yeah. Or you get like a notification on your
bill.
phone. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's a good one.
Oh my gosh. I don't
And is like Pennywise is the patriarchy.
that is terrifying. Um Oh my goodness. Well, since everyone's sharing their fears, I have a fear of stickers. I don't know how Pennywise could really use that. He could turn himself into a giant sticker and try to stick himself all over me, which would be just absolutely disgusting. So I'm guessing probably that. I don't think I have any like super fears of like any animals that I can think of besides, like you said, Ben, besides the usual, like I don't love insects. Like they're not great.
Right.
But yeah, stickers. Don't you ever try to put one on me or tape or
I don't feel like I think I knew about the tape. I guess I did know about this about you.
you knew.
I feel
you
like
knew
I'd
this.
forgotten.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is a word for it. I forget what it is though. So, anywho, let's move into our recommendations. So, Ben, why don't you go first today? Give us your TV recs.
Sure. Well, I mean, I only have two things. One is what we already talked about, the sequels or the prequel series. Welcome to Derry. I haven't seen it, obviously, so I can't recommend it as this is good, but it's coming out October 26th on HBO. And if you're in the mood after listening to this podcast and in spooky season, should be a good time. I even though I didn't love the movie, I'm still interested in checking out the show for sure. And then the other one that this just made me think of, and I feel like it's very obvious, is Stranger Things.
Yep.
Because you've got the kids, you've got the 80s, you've got, the monsters, you've got the the fact that after seeing the play this summer, like that they can go back in time. The prequel series is sort of like the play of Stranger Things. And obviously the fifth and final season is her fourth season. I don't even know what they're on. But
season 5. This will be season 5.
Season 5. And they're straight up adults now. So it's like 27 years has passed between the seasons. So that's my TV recommendation. There's not a ton of horror. There's some other Stephen King things too, but Castle Rock and, as I mentioned, Under the Dome. But I feel like it and Stranger Things feel like a tandem pair to me.
I like it.
Great. Thank you. Geoff, what are your movie recs?
Movie number 1, we're going in the Stephen King horrorverse, which limits us to about 100 movies. So within that, I will go with Salem's Lot in terms of a creature going into a town. I'm going to recommend the 1979 original sort of version of the movie from Tobe Hooper, not the new one that came out, or new remake that came out last year, straight for HBO Max. But yeah, good little creature horror from the Stephen King universe. Movie number 2 is a clown horror movie. Go with Terrifier. A lot gorier than It, and a lot more mature than It. Does not feature kids. It features young adults who get very gruesomely sliced open. And I'm not even a big fan of the actual Terrifier movie itself, but I do love Art the Clown as a villain. And he's a funny little guy. and he's got his own little haunted house at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. So he's a fun villain. And then number 3 is Bill Skarsgård as a villain and as a demon creature. Nosferatu. Last year's Nosferatu, directed by Robert Eggers. He plays Count Orlok. He has a funny voice, and he talks like this. And he looks all creepy and gross and stuff, and he's really, really good and an amazing.
Isn't that the one that you got the hat for?
That is the one I got the hat for.
Skarsgårds are truly a very talented family.
Yeah.
If you want to see a fun, though, Bill Skarsgård movie where he's not wearing any makeup, check out Barbarian. That came out a few years ago, directed by Zach Kreger, who just directed Weapons. Yeah, I won't spoil anything about his appearance in that movie, but yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's a horror movie for everyone not aware of that. Apparently, he has a genre that he likes to stick to.
I mean, I don't want to just say when he got a face like he does, but like he's got the thing with his eyes, and he's just really he nails it.
When you
My
got a
mom
face
told
like
me I
that.
was meant to be a horror actor.
I don't know. It fit like the way he's been able to take over in these sort of horror movie roles. It works. I know he can do the thing with his eyes. Like he was talking about it once in an interview. I know for chapter 2 where his eyes can turn different directions, and he has one facing the characters in question and one facing the camera at all times. So it really makes things unsettling. He's good. He's really, really good in this sort of niche.
And I should mention, I didn't mention this, but he is playing Pennywise again in the series. Just in
good
case
for him.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good for
that's
you.
Good.
Good for you.
So I don't know that I'd ever seen him in anything. I've seen Alexander Skarsgård in a lot of things, but
And
I don't know that I've ever seen him in anything.
get ready for his dad Stellan to be on the Oscar run this fall and winter with Sentimental Value.
Oh yeah,
Get a lot of Skarsgård action these days.
Alexander was excellent in the final season of Succession.
Nice. Alexander was amazing in The Northman, another Robert Eggers. Not really a horror movie, but
No. All right.
You're lame, Amanda. You embrace it. It's amazing.
Let's do
The little
our,
Skarsgård family reunion talk.
let's do our top 4. All right. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory. The top 4 worst places to encounter a killer clown. Ben, you go first.
Okay. So I didn't put a lot of thought into this, so my number 4 was going to be the woods. And then I was telling my wife that we were doing top 4 worst places to encounter a killer clown because she just likes to hear what I'm up to with these podcasts. And her first answer was one that I'm going to slot in at number 4 instead of the woods, which is the urinal. Now, why she thought of that and not me, I don't know. But it would be not fun.
Pretty bad, yeah.
I mean, you don't want anybody next to you, right next to the urinal, but least of all, a killer clown.
No, absolutely not. Catching you with your pants down, that's all I'll tell you what.
That's going to be number 4. Number 3, I'm going to go with church. Because, I don't know, it feels very demonic to be in that setting, to have a killer clown there. You know, I wouldn't really want to encounter a killer clown anywhere, but I feel like churches sometimes have a little bit of a, you know, especially if they're like not like a Sunday morning, they've got kind of that, you know, sort of sometimes a creepy vibe to them. Number 2 is in the back seat of my car. This is kind of a general fear from watching too many movies where some bad guy pops up from the back seat of the car. So if I was, you know, getting in my car at night, turning on the ignition, and a killer clown pops up in my rearview mirror, I wouldn't love it.
Fair.
And then number 1, standing over my bed. Because also another thing that I've feared from, you know, is just being woken up to something terrifying. And that would be pretty terrifying.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
there we go. Urinal, church, backseat of my car, standing over my bed.
All right. Patrick, did you make a list?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I guess in no particular order. So I've worked a few years in fast food as like a back of house busboy, all that kinds of things. So my responsibilities a lot was to close the restaurants, and that involved going outside, taking out trash by dumpster. So that was generally those actually two of the four things that I thought of were like what would have my flashbacks in like fast food. So it's like by a dumpster, when taking out the trash, and then you just literally like open the door to the dumpster, and then boom, pops out right there. The other one would be like a restaurant freezer, because of course produce needs to be kept fresh. So it's like you have to go in there, you have to pull veggies or meat or something like that. Door closes, the light turns off, but then the light turns on, and boom, he's right there.
Yep. Plus, you ain't getting out. No one can help you at that
No one
point.
can help you at that point. Then, shoot, there was two other things that I just thought of that were definitely good ones to have come around to me. I have to go back and think about that.
The dumpster's a good one. That like any time we have to like go out to like something on your own at night. Like I remember like working, and it was like a mini golf course. Like anytime you have to like sneak out and you're the only one there at some establishment at night, that's
Thank
creepy.
you for reminding me. That was one of them. Like on
Mini golf?
No, not mini golf, but just like walking home at night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just walking home from like anything like a restaurant or even like a night out. The other one was on a country road at night. Like you're making a turn on a country road, and then you just make that sharp turn, and then boom, right around the corner.
You know, what I'm getting from this is that you don't like to be outside at night.
Not for long.
That is a theme.
Yeah.
I don't blame you either, by the way.
It's like I always think of like the SpongeBob episode where they're open like 24 hours, and it's like 3 a.m, and then Squidward tells SpongeBob to take the garbage out, and then he's running frantically, petrified, and then running back to the restaurant. Yeah, that's me.
The hash slinging slasher or whatever.
Yes, the hash slinging slasher.
No, it's for Ratu.
All right, Geoff, what's your list?
All right, I do have an honorable mention, and that would be everywhere. That's just, we want to get that out of the way right now.
Everywhere.
I don't like this idea, but there are definitely
We should do best places.
All right, number 4 is the circus, because guess what? That clown is just blending in with everybody else, and if you get hacked to bits or killed or whatever, everyone's just gonna think it's part of the act.
That's
like,
a good answer.
This
I
is
like
fun. Yay. Woo, clown. And then there's me just dead. So yeah, no, I don't like the idea of being in that sort of environment where
it's like home turf for the clown.
Exactly. Turf's got real home field
advantage.
Like any AFC's team showing up to the Ralph. It's basically the exact comparison. Number 3 is hiking in the woods. Ben, when you mentioned that earlier, I was like, actually, that was on my list because of the isolation element. You're by yourself. And with the way that I like to hike and explore and do things, I'm not near people or buildings or anything. Man and I are usually just by ourselves. Like, we're screwed at that point. So that's my number 3. Number 2 is water. If I'm swimming or in a body of water, even near a body of water, there's a feeling of helplessness being trapped in water, especially if your feet aren't touching the ground, your body has less control, and that clown pops up out of nowhere. If that clown is attacking me in water, that clown probably has an advantage on me at that point. Not that I'm not physically capable of defending myself, but it's tough to do so in water, so I'm going to put that. And then, just like you, Ben, my number 1, bedroom. It's where where I feel like I'm at my safest and my most secure, and I can put down my guard for a little bit, and then I put down my guard, and then there's Pennywise grabbing me, eating my arm, sending me to go float. I don't like
dressed like a moth.
Yes.
All right, so my list, my number 4, similar to the circus, Geoff, I put haunted house.
That's a good one.
Because while I would already be in a heightened sense of like I'm afraid, I would not necessarily know that the killer clown was not just another scare actor. And everyone around me would probably think it was all just part of the show.
And the thing is, too, with those haunted houses, they tell you can't touch the actors. You can't, like, react or push them exactly, or anything, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that's an extra element. I like that.
Yeah. My number 3 is the woods, specifically at night, because again, like my chances are just minimal, nothing. I'm going to run and I'm going to trip over a tree or some rock or something. That's for sure. And like, oh, especially at night. I mean, the woods are just so creepy as it is. I do not need a killer clown coming after me. Number two is very specific, but in a in a broken elevator, I certainly would have no means of escape inside of an
100%,
elevator.
yeah.
So that would just be not great. And then similar to you, Ben, I put the bathroom, but specifically like probably a school bathroom or a public bathroom, because at that point you got your pants down. This is more inconvenient for women, you know, what urinal, fine, whatever. Like you don't have your pants down. You can just run. You're free to do whatever you want. No, but you know, it's a little more complicated. And you then have to deal with the added humiliation of presumably running through the school with your pants down, trying to get away from this killer clown. So you've got humiliation on top of the fact that you're going to be murdered.
It's hard to argue.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. That brings us to the end of our episode on It. If you'd like to watch along with us, next week we'll be continuing our spooky month and watching Ghostbusters. That is definitely one of the major, you haven't seen that?
Oh, for sure.
For sure. It's like when
sure.
we did Hocus Pocus last year.
Yeah. It's a cornerstone of the you haven't seen that
Absolutely.
world. Yes.
Absolutely. So definitely tune in with us. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a rating or review and follow us on all our social channels. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see y'all next week.
To infinity and beyond!
Why so serious?
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.